All right, you are looking live at the daily chart of a Nasdaq that has been up for 10 of the last 11 weeks. You can see that it has run since the follow-through day and been in a power trend. It had a pullback here in the first week of January. Let me go to the weekly chart since I mentioned it's up 10 of the last 11 weeks. And that 1 week, it was down 3.25% on lighter volume. As you can see, it just pulled back to the moving average. And then last week had a nice, powerful week of a nice 3% move. You look at the monthly chart, it still shows it's down 39%, 39 points or 0.26% in 2024. So if you're flat in cash or if you're up this year, you are outperforming the Nasdaq. I wouldn't count on that though, being in cash and outperforming. You've got to take your shoulder off the bat and get in the game here to make some singles, doubles, and home runs. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But the Nasdaq is definitely in an uptrend. The rally is a little long in the tooth. Perhaps we'll see a pullback. It seems to have stalled there at 1500, but we'll see. The Nasdaq, and all the indexes are going to do what they want to do, and not what we want them to do or expect them to do. So just keep that in mind. Keep an open mind. And I'm going to take a look at the Russell 2000. This is a daily chart. You can see that it ran up like the Nasdaq, but this one pulled back, a lot sharper pullback to its moving average. It's down 3.75% in 2024. And you can see here on the weekly, the big run up, then the last 3 weeks pullback. So maybe, I expect the Russell to have a good year, but one of the things that's, holding it back a little bit is the 10-year, which hit a bottom there and now has rallied back up around 4%, 3.95 as it closed on Friday. But this is a trend lower. This is a little hiccup here, but I think that it's going to continue lower, and the Russell will have a good year in 2024. Anyway, I do not discuss. I don't trade. Typically, I don't trade. I do sometimes buy ETFs. But this is the S&P and very similar. There's the pullback in the first week of January here, not as pronounced as the Nasdaq, 1.52%, so about half of what the Nasdaq pulled back on lighter volume there. In the first couple weeks of January is behind us now. We have Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. We'll resume trading on Tuesday. And the S&P definitely in a strong uptrend there. You can see the pullback to the 21. Anyway, I want to get to stocks. I have a lot of stocks. It was a busy week with the Consumer Electronics Show, the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, and the retail conference in Orlando, Florida, which provided a lot of news and data, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. This is Apple. It was overtaken by Microsoft as the largest market cap in the US. And I've been talking about this for a while because of the Microsoft AI component, and Apple's a little lacking there. They did have news at the CES show with the goggles, for like $3,500. Not sure if that's going to save them. People are telling me that the stores were pretty empty during the holidays. And Apple's down 3.4% in 2024. So, kind of dragging the indexes down. I mentioned Microsoft. And this is the largest market cap US company here. And they have the AI component. You can see it broke out of this. To me, this is like a cup with handle, but the handle was a flat base of like 6 weeks, and had an inside day on Friday. I prefer looking at the weekly. This is a weekly review. And you can see there's the cup shape and then the flat base. I believe that was a 4 weeks tight pattern or even 5 weeks tight, but broke out of that last week. And it was up 5.6% last week, and it's up 3.3% for the month. So Microsoft definitely outperforming. Meta, same thing. They had news at the CES show as well, and this thing broke away from a base, starting to get a little extended. You hear people talk about, oh, the stocks are extended, the market's extended, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to show you a lot of stocks that are still set up in bases. Granted, I admit a lot of stocks are extended. You can't chase them. Meta being one of them, but it's just showing strength. There you can see the base here on this weekly chart, and then it's just pushed away, had a 3 weeks tight, and last week was up, 6.4%. And for the year, it's up 5.8%, definitely outperforming, definitely leading. You could see this big move from last year's low here. And during the summer months when the Nasdaq was consolidating, this July, August, and September, October period, the Nasdaq corrected for 3 months. This thing was just going sideways, being accumulated. And now that the index performs better, Meta's leading higher. Google, this one is a stock that I believe is set up in a base. Here, I'm going to go to the daily chart. Sorry for jumping around so much, but it's just a lot to get to. I want to show you the daily and the weekly. Here we got a nice consolidation here with the cup with the handle pattern, pulled back to the 21, and then bounced higher. You can see it pull back here 2 weeks. This is the weekly chart now, the cup with handle, the pullback. And now last week was up 5.1%, but still in a base. It's up 2% in 2024, and I would give that like a 139 buy point, 139.42. I would stick with that standard buy point. It's close enough right there. So that one looks good. Amazon is a little extended here, so pushing away from its base. This is the daily chart. You can see this consolidation. I've been talking about this for a while. I thought the index would be bullish because these stocks, these mega cap tech stocks, are set up in bases, and now they've moved out, a lot of them. I don't know if we're going to get a 10% move or a 20% move. I don't know. You just got to play it day by day. You can see this is Amazon here, had that 2-week pullback in super light volume, the end of December, beginning of January, but last week jumped 6.4% and is up, 1.7% for the year. 1.76% for the year. Easy for me to say. Tesla, I have a new technical term for this chart, just ugly. Move on. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. That is just trading below. Yeah, it's just in a downtrend. So stay away from Tesla. It is radioactive. NVDA is the one that rallied through its pivot area on Monday morning, where I think a lot of us bought this thing. And, you're often asked the questions like, when do you buy a stock? Do you wait for an hour? Do you wait for 90 minutes? Well, if it's ripping through its pivot point, in the first 3 minutes of the session, you buy it then, because that's when it's a buy. And that's what happened on Monday. I wonder if I can go back to a 5-minute chart and capture that move. I have to go back to a 10-minute chart. I'm going off script now. And here you see the move on the 8th. Right here, boom, really pronounced. Wake up Monday morning and it's just ripping through a pivot point, and it traded higher all week. A nice 10% move, essentially from the 500 to 550 area, closed with a inside day, real quiet day on Friday, which I believe is bullish, and I think this thing's going higher. Definitely a liquid leading stock. I have to go to the monthly and show that it's up 10.48% for the year. So if you're in this stock, then you're definitely outperforming the indexes. And last week it was up 11.4%. There you can see the long period of consolidation there for NVIDIA. So that one looks good. Congrats if you bought that one. So Broadcom, AVGO, this is one that I believe is still set up in a base, an ascending base pattern. If I look at the daily chart, you can see this ascending base pattern as Pattern Rec picks it up. Thank you, Mike Webster, for doing that for all of us. But anyway, it would have a standard buy point of 1,151. I wouldn't wait that long. To me, it broke above a downtrend line last week, and it was up 5.57% last week. So this one's starting to move. AMD, this one, as NVIDIA is making new highs, this one is not. It's stalled at like 150. This is a weekly review, so I'm going to start with the weekly chart. With AMD, you can see this nice cup-shaped pattern, and it broke above its downtrend line here with a nice move that week, and it's just been trending higher. But like I said, stalled here at 150. If I go to the daily, of course it could get through it, right? But it stalled and pulled back to its 10, and I believe it will trade through it, and I believe it will trade at all-time highs. But it's going to take some time. If you look at the monthly, it's just flat on the month. Yeah, Lisa Su was named CEO in 2014. Anyway, it's been a big winner under her leadership. I'm going to go to some of the cybersecurity stocks. And I've talked about CrowdStrike. I think you guys get sick of me talking about CrowdStrike, that I believe that CrowdStrike is going to be, first of all, it's an essential in this economy, in this day and age in 2024, where you have to have cybersecurity. And this one is definitely showing signs of, well, first of all, it's going to take out this new high. I'll eat my hat if it doesn't take out that 298.48 there. It's just it's a stone's throw away. But this one, once again, like Meta, was being accumulated in the summer months, July, August, September, is being accumulated here. And once there you go, in September up 2.67%, October 5.6%. And then when the market took off in November and December, this one was a leader. Now it did pull back. See, to me, this is an opportunity. And I bought this thing on Monday along with NVIDIA as it pulled back 3 weeks in super light volume, the last couple of weeks of December and the first week of January, which is always tricky. But this one, you could see that pull back there to the 21 and just exploded higher on Monday, and then followed through as a $13 move or 5.5%, followed through with a 4.7% move, 3%. And then Friday, made a new high, then pulled back. But yeah, it hit 290, right? Yeah. So CrowdStrike to me could be one of these model book stocks or whatever you want to call it, one of the big winners. And I think it's one that you just have to find a way to get in. I sold it. Why? Because it went from 160 to 260. So I took off half there, and then when it started to pull back, I just took the rest off and bought Celsius, which I'll get to later. But then I had to buy it back. So this is why you have to be nimble and flexible and open-minded. Once it made that move on Monday, I said, I am back in. Thank you very much. Palo Alto Networks is another one that's, it's just a monster stock. This one, if you just go back to the monthly and look at this thing, lower left to upper right. And this thing is a cash cow. It's up 10% in 2024. You can see this one also pulled back 3 weeks in light volume, just exploded higher, nearly 15% last week. So, you ask, well, gosh, I want to buy that. I want to own it. You're just going to have to wait. I wouldn't be chasing it up here. This is one that's extended. We're going to get to the ones that aren't. I'm showing you a lot of extended stocks. I know, but Sentinel-1 is another one. They bought Ping Safe and it really sold off. They came to market, right before the correction. It corrected and it had a nice strong uptrend going. They bought Ping Safe and then fell off, I don't know, a good 20% or so. There you can see it breaking or emerging out of the stage 1 base and pulling back on the news of the buyout here. They spent some money. Anyway, you can see it pulled back these 2 weeks, and last week was up 7%. I still like it. It rallied through on the daily chart now, it rallied through its moving averages here with some power. So definitely one to watch. Little bit extended, but definitely one to watch in this group. I mean, all of these stocks in this cybersecurity group I like. There's more of them that I like, but I'm just going to go to these 4. Zscaler, much like CrowdStrike, big run, pulled back to the 21, then ripped higher. Last week did not have quite the week CrowdStrike had, but it was still up 10%. And for the year, I mean, 4.16%. So that one's outperforming as well. You think, well, gosh, it's only 2 weeks, small sample size, but if you're going to have a, 2-bagger, 3-bagger, 4-bagger, you start with a 10, 20% gain, right? Speaking of which is SMCI, which was one of our leading stocks in our leading groups. This one to me is not extended. It's been choppy. I mean, ever since it had this earnings report and sold off, it's been super choppy, really hard to trade. But recently moved off its moving averages, and now it's trying to emerge out of this big consolidation period with that. If you hold a gun to my head, I would say 357, no pun intended, buy point. And you could see on the weekly, the consolidation, and it looks to me like it wants to move higher. up 16% last week, up 19.45% for the year. Thank you very much. It had a big year last year, up a couple 100%. So Supermicro is just super strong. And I like that one as well. Okay, I'm going to get to some stocks. This is going to be a long video. I'm going to get to some stocks that I don't believe are extended, that I think are actionable, that are on, I have a lot of stocks at our website, mcstockcharts.com. We've had a lot of new subscribers recently, and people are getting excited about this market, and that's good to see. Datadog is one that I don't believe is, I know it's moved from the low, a 50% move, from 80 to 120, but you can see this cup with handle, and it's just got this buy point there at 118. I like it. It's up 1.3% in 2024, showing strength. Undercut the 21 and then rallied back through its moving averages. I like Datadog. I also like Mandy or Monday. I get a lot of comments on this stock, and you can see on Twitter anyway. This one's consolidated in a base for a long time. It undercut the 21 and rallied back through. Had a quiet day on Friday, and maybe Monday will be its day. But no, the market's closed on Monday, so that's a good thing. Tuesday maybe. Anyway, it pulled back the last week of December, the first week of January, to a moving average, and then rallied back up 7.87% last week. And for the 2024, it's up 1.54%. So definitely one to watch. That is not extended. I like that one. The drug stocks as well didn't really participate in the rally, the December rally. This is Novo Nordisk, the weight loss drug. I know it's highly valued or whatever, and overvalued. You're going to hear that a lot about growth stocks, but they've got growth profile. Here you can see the sales growth, 24, 37, 39, the EPS growth. These guys are selling anything and everything they can make. For the year, it's up 3.59%. Thank you very much. Just lower left to upper right on the monthly and the daily. You can see this consolidation there. So I like Novo Nordisk. I also like Eli Lilly. I know Ken Langone was on CNBC saying he thinks it's going to be the first drug $1 trillion stock. I'm not going to argue with Ken Langone. You can see this consolidation here, and you can see it probably better on the weekly here. It looks like a flat base pattern, starting to pull away from that 629.90, 630 buy point. Essentially, I had a little earlier buy point on a downtrend line, but nevertheless, that thing is not extended, still hovering near its base. I believe it'll be trading at 700 before long. We have earnings seasons coming up, so you have to recognize these stocks that are going to have strong earnings, and I think those two certainly will. Spotify is another one I have on our watch list at mcstockcharts.com. Why? Well, it's got this flat base pattern. It had this nice run up, consolidated for a while, pulled back, and now it's got that 202.88 buy area there. You can see the consolidation. It was up 4.9% last week, up 8% for the year. So Spotify it was a big winner in 2023, and I wouldn't count it out for 2024. All right, that's it for me for today, except for I lied. I have to do one or two more things here. First of all, the JP Morgan conference was last week. I mentioned the retail conference, the CES show, brought a lot of news, but we saw a lot of buyouts, and like the Who's saying in bargain, 1 and 1 equals 1. And with Johnson & Johnson started, I believe it was Johnson & Johnson that started it off, as they spent $2 billion on Ambrx, which is nice to see the conference delivering this news and seeing these mergers and acquisition. That's Johnson & Johnson. That stock's dead in the water. Merck, they didn't spend much money. They bought Harpoon for $680 million. You could see this stock is set up in a base. It was up 1.2% last week, up 8% for 2024. This stock is showing strength, and definitely made news there at the JP Morgan conference. Boston Scientific bought Axonics, AXNX, and I believe it was like 100% premium there. It's nice to wake up on a Monday morning when have your stock up whatever it was, 20%. I thought it was more than that, but anyway, yeah, big move there for Axonics. Boston Scientific bought it for 3.7 billion. Thank you. Maybe it was Ambrx, it was up 100%. But anyway, a lot of news coming from that conference. And one particular piece of news that came out that didn't come to fruition was CYTK, this Wall Street, journal saying there's a rumor it's going to be bought out by Novartis. And when that didn't work and the stock sold off, then they came in on Wednesday, I believe, this day, and said Amgen's going to buy it, kind of buoyed it around the 100 level. And then obviously it was not true, and it was down 16% on Thursday. Ouch, that's quite a haircut. TGTX, they raised guidance at the conference. It was like buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. They raised quarterly guidance for their drug. Definitely a sell-off. Shorts in control of this stock. Down 7% for the year and 20% for the week. So that's quite a haircut for the longs there. But was good news that they're executing, and but the stock just sold off on the news, and that happens sometimes. So anyway, let me see. The IRC conference, Abercrombie and Fitch, they raised guidance. This one has just been a beast of a stock, the top performer in the S&P 500 in 2023, and just continues to carry through, up nearly 7% after that news last week. Look at that, man, no pullback at all. Up 9.7% in 2024. So just wants to continue higher. We're not going to argue with it. American Eagle Outfitter, they raised guidance last week at the conference. It was up 5.29% last week. CROX raised guidance, and it was up nearly 20% last week. Thank you very much. On Holdings, they said that they're going to double sales within a couple of years, and it was up 5.4% last week. Very nice. Boot Barn raised guidance. It was up slightly, 1.37%. We'll take it. And I wanted to mention CELH. They did not raise guidance. There was no news on CELH. I did mention that I bought it. I'm going to go to the daily chart first, and this is why it broke above its downtrend line. And so I thought I would just sell crowd and be a smart guy, right? And I had to buy crowd back, but it made this move on this days, and I said, okay, I'm going to get into Celsius. Nice strong move, but this thing's bipolar. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down. Drives you crazy if you look at it. Can't look at it. I just want to own it. It's setting up in a base. It's consolidating. I believe this is one that will deliver strong earnings. Once again, every week it's making higher lows there. That low of 49.69, a low 53.03, and last week the low was 54.02. So as long as it continues in that pattern, you're going to make money holding it on the long side. And I did say that's it for today. One more thing. Yeah, I already did that. Okay, in honor of the great Steve Jobs. Just some stocks up on volume. I know people don't like the oil and gas stocks because they're a little inflationary. This could be moving on news of the the turmoil, geopolitical activity in the Middle East. The Houthis were getting bombed out of their minds. This is TNK. A nice move on volume on Friday. Just taking note here, just observing the fish tank. I'm not saying these are, stellar stocks or anything, but TRMD up on volume. These are transportation pipeline stocks, by the way. Up on volume on Friday is Frontline as well. CHK, this is Chesapeake. Up on volume. This thing's still on a base, trying to break above a downtrend line here. Yeah, that one looks pretty good, but I'm not going to put it on my watch list or ready list. Anyway, that's it. There's a couple more. I don't want to show them. This one used to be National Oil Well, and it's NOV now, up on volume, still in consolidation. I just wanted to shout out my friend Sable. Her daughter was named the USA Women's Soccer Player of the Year. She's a former Stanford grad, and they're immigrants from Ethiopia, some of the nicest people you ever want to meet. And she was the first defender, I believe, that was named the Women's Soccer Player of the Year for the USA soccer team. So congratulations to Naomi Gurma. And Happy New Year. That's really good news. And Monday, the market's closed for Martin Luther King holiday. Thank you for watching. We'll be back Tuesday. Never give up.